They claimed you'd be selfish, but your love is the most selfless thing I've ever known. They said you'd be my weakness, but you've become my greatest strength. They told me you'd never truly see me, but your eyes tell a story of understanding and love. They swore you'd be temporary, but your love feels eternal, like it was written in the stars. They claimed you'd hurt me, but every touch of yours feels like a gentle reminder of how love should be. They told me you'd be cold, but your warmth has thawed every frozen part of my heart. They said you'd let me down, but you've only lifted me higher, showing me a world I never knew. They claimed you'd be a burden, but you've become my greatest source of peace. They warned me you'd be a storm, but you've brought nothing but sunshine into my life. They told me you'd never stay, but your love feels like home, a place I never want to leave. They swore you'd be my undoing, but you've helped me rebuild myself into someone stronger, someone loved. They claimed you'd be a liar, but your truth has shattered every lie, leaving only love in its place. They said you'd deceive me, but the honesty in your eyes has exposed the real lies, those told by your so-called friends. They warned me you'd steal my joy, but instead, you've given me a happiness I never knew I could feel. They claimed you'd vanish when things got tough, but you've stayed, proving love is stronger than their doubts. They told me you'd drain my spirit, but your presence fills me with more life than I've ever known. They swore you'd be emotionless, yet every word you speak is drenched in feeling, melting the ice they warned me about. They said you'd bring chaos, but you've been the calm in my storm, the anchor when I needed it most. They claimed you'd be unfaithful, but your loyalty shines brighter than their envy-fueled whispers. They told me you'd ignore my needs, but you've fulfilled desires I didn't even know I had. They warned me you'd leave me hollow, but you filled every void with love, hope, and light. They said you'd never understand me, but somehow you've read my soul like an open book. They claimed you'd be reckless with my heart, but you've handled it like the most delicate treasure. They told me you'd walk away, but you've held my hand through every storm, proving them wrong at every step. They warned me you'd only care for yourself, yet your actions have shown a selflessness they'll never understand. They said you'd be my downfall, but instead you've lifted me to heights I never thought I'd reach. They swore you'd be unreliable, but your consistency is the one thing I can always count on. They claimed you'd break my heart, but instead you've mended every piece of it with your love. They told me you'd bring nothing but pain, yet you've brought healing to wounds I thought would never close. They warned me you'd be distant, but your love feels closer than my own breath. They said you'd be a fleeting spark, but you've been the fire that keeps me warm on the coldest nights. They claimed you'd betray me, but your loyalty is a quiet roar that silences their lies. They told me you'd take more than you'd give, but your generosity overflows, proving them wrong every day. They swore you'd be unkind, but your tenderness speaks louder than any of their accusations. They said you'd be a mistake, but loving you feels like the most beautiful truth I've ever known. They claimed you'd never value me, but you've cherished me in ways they could never imagine. They told me you'd fade away, but your love has only grown stronger, brighter, and more undeniable. They warned me you'd hurt me, but every moment with you feels like a healing touch. They said you'd be indifferent, yet your love has consumed me with its fiery passion. They claimed you'd take advantage of me, but you've only lifted me higher with every step we take together. They told me you'd manipulate me, but your love feels pure, untouched by their poisonous words. They warned me you'd never fight for us, but you've proven that nothing can stand in the way of your love. They said you'd bring regret, but every memory with you feels like a treasure I'd never trade. They claimed you'd be cold, yet your warmth has thawed every wall I ever built around my heart. They told me you'd be my undoing, but you've been the one to help me rebuild my life into something beautiful. They warned me you'd be toxic, but your love is the purest thing I've ever known. They said you'd leave me lost, but you've been my compass, guiding me home to myself. They claimed you'd be my biggest mistake, but you've turned out to be the best part of my life. They told me you'd never love me as I am, but your acceptance has been unconditional and true. Hey, love, your friends painted a picture of you so cold and distant, yet here I am, wrapped in the warmth of your gaze, questioning every word they ever said. They told me you'd leave without a word, but your silence speaks more truth than their loudest lies ever could. I was warned you'd be heartless, but every beat of yours echoes in my soul, proving their words hollow and meaningless. They said you'd never care, but I see the tenderness in your eyes, a silent rebellion against their baseless tales. I heard you were incapable of love, yet every touch, every glance, whispers the truth of a love deeper than words can capture. They swore you'd betray me, but every day with you feels like a promise kept, an unspoken vow of loyalty. They claimed you were selfish, but the way you give yourself so completely leaves me breathless, doubting everything they told me. Your friends said you were a storm, destructive and wild, but all I see is the calm after the chaos, the peace I've been searching for. They told me you'd be my greatest heartbreak, yet here I am, falling deeper, feeling more alive than ever. They warned me about the darkness in your soul, but I've only found light, a beacon guiding me home. They said you'd never stay, Yet every moment with you feels eternal, as if time itself bows to your presence. They swore you'd be my undoing, but instead you've pieced me back together, showing me who I truly am. I was told you'd be cold, unfeeling, yet your warmth melts every fear, every doubt, leaving only love. They said you'd never be enough, but you've given me more than I ever dreamed possible. They claimed you were broken, but your cracks only let more light in, illuminating the beauty they couldn't see. They told me you'd play games with my heart, but this feels more like destiny than deceit. They painted you as a villain, but you're the hero of my story, rewriting every lie with your truth. They said you'd be my biggest mistake, but loving you feels like the only thing I've ever gotten right. They warned me you'd be a burden, but you've lifted me higher than I've ever been before. They told me you'd never change, yet every day you prove them wrong with your actions, your love, your growth. They said you'd be distant, but I've never felt closer to anyone than I do to you. They claimed you'd bring chaos, but you've brought clarity, order, and a peace I didn't know existed. Your friends told me you'd be my downfall, but instead, you've lifted me to heights I never imagined. They warned me about your flaws, but I've come to love every one of them, seeing the perfection in imperfection. They said you'd never understand me, but somehow you've become the only one who truly does. They painted you as untrustworthy, but your honesty shines brighter than their deceptive words. They claimed you'd never be there for me, yet here you are, a constant presence in my life. They told me you were incapable of commitment, but your love feels like the strongest promise I've ever known. They said you'd hurt me, but all you've done is heal wounds I didn't know I had. They claimed you'd never love me, yet your actions scream louder than any words they could ever say. They told me you'd take me for granted, but every moment with you feels cherished, treasured, unforgettable. They said you'd bring sorrow, but your presence fills my life with endless joy. They warned me you'd be cruel, yet all I see is kindness in your every gesture, your every word. They claimed you'd abandon me, but your loyalty stands unwavering, a testament to the truth of your love. They told me you'd lie, but your honesty is the only thing that's ever felt real to me. They said you'd be a lesson, but you've become my greatest blessing. They swore you'd be indifferent, but your love burns brighter than any fire I've ever known. They claimed you'd be trouble, but you've brought nothing but peace to my chaotic heart. They told me you'd be a fleeting moment, but every second with you feels infinite. They said you'd bring pain, but instead, you've shown me what true happiness feels like. They claimed you'd never let me in, but you've opened doors to your soul I didn't know existed. They told me you'd be complicated, but loving you feels so beautifully simple. They said you'd break my heart, but you filled it with more love than I ever thought possible. They warned me you'd be a mistake, but you've turned out to be the best decision I've ever made. They claimed you'd never care, but every little thing you do proves them wrong. They said you'd be distant, but you've brought me closer to myself than I've ever been. They told me you'd leave me empty, but instead, you've filled me with hope, love, and light. They swore you'd bring regret, but all I feel is gratitude for every moment spent with you.